I think a lot of people, if you're running a smaller business, they might think, oh, this doesn't apply to me because I'm not Amazon, right? They got really complex logistics and operations. So yeah, I'm guessing they need to do that, but I don't need to do that. And I'm here to tell you, there has not been a business that we've worked with that did not benefit from doing this, what we call value engine mapping, business process mapping. It's not a new concept, but very few small businesses do it. And so I would recommend everybody. Here's the tools that you need. You need a whiteboard, you need a Sharpie, you need some sticky notes. Okay. Get you some Post-it notes and go on a whiteboard and just ask, okay, when it comes to customer or client fulfillment, like how does that happen? After a sale is made, then what do we do?
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Lunch with your hosts, myself, Roland Frazier, and my business partner and friend, Ryan Dice. Ryan, how are you doing today?
So good. We still talking Amazon?
We're
Amazon
still
turnaround
talking
and what you
Amazon.
can learn from it?
Yeah, so we had taken from we kind of did a case study and analysis of Amazon's turnaround under Andy Jassy and thought that there were enough lessons that it made sense because there's specific things for us to talk about that are very applicable to you as a small business owner, a startup, a medium-sized business, obviously all the way up to to a company of like Amazon. We expect Andy is tuned in to all of our episodes about this, just hanging on every word to be sure that he's making the right moves. But there is something that can be learned, and so I love case studies. We were talking about the big turnaround in valuation and profitability by him coming in and having kind of these different areas that were pretty large and significant that he focused on, and how we can use those to improve our own businesses. The first three we covered last time: the power of a fresh perspective, the ability to embrace being frugal, and then engaging with shareholders. This time we're going to talk about three more. We might finish it up this time, and only do two, or we might go three. We'll see how it goes. But it's definitely, there are lessons to be learned here. The next thing, the number 4, was streamlining of operations. So what he did was he eliminated unnecessary processes, he streamlined teams, and he focused on core competencies. And I think that's cool. He improved operational efficiency, which helped obviously with the profits. He went back to things that Bezos had done successfully, like no meeting should have more than can be covered by, I think it was 2 pizzas, right?
Yeah, two pizza
large
teams.
pizzas. No team should have more people on it than that. Kind of addressing where they overstaffed. Obviously, on the bigger team of, say, customer support, they probably need more than 8 or 10 people at Amazon to cover that. But maybe, thinking about sub teams, and we talked about that on a couple other podcasts. The action step here would be, have you mapped out your business processes? Because it's hard to be efficient. They say what gets measured gets managed. If you don't have something that you're measuring in, at least to the point of knowing what the process actually is, it's definitely a good idea for you to chart out what are your business processes. Then you can apply one of our favorite things, the theory of constraints, to identify the bottlenecks and fix those. Where are things kind of chunking up? And then can you use more modern automation like RPA, which is robotic process automation, or AI, or even just basic marketing automations and accounting automations that are present in software to replace or make more efficient the things that people are doing. And that's something that doesn't get looked at very often. So I think thinking about what technology should we be investing in that actually enhances our collaboration, our automation, and our communication. And if we're looking at some goals here as how you would apply this to actually realize the benefits specifically, it would be, we're going to reduce operational costs by X%. And while we're also increasing productivity by Y%, and maybe even tie that into customer, because we always like getting back to the customer, at the same time improving customer satisfaction ratings by Z%. So that's kind of the category of streamlining operations. Love to get your thoughts on it, Ryan.
I think a lot of people, if you're running a smaller business, they might think, oh, this doesn't apply to me because I'm not Amazon, right? They got really complex logistics and operations. So yeah, I'm guessing they need to do that, but I don't need to do that. And I'm here to tell you, there has not been a business that we've worked with that did not benefit from doing this, what we call value engine mapping, business process mapping. It's not a new concept, but very few small businesses do it. And so I would recommend everybody. Here's the tools that you need. You need a whiteboard, you need a Sharpie, you need some sticky notes. Okay, get you some Post-it notes and go on a whiteboard and just ask. Okay, when it comes to customer or client fulfillment, like how does that happen after a sale is made? Then what do we do? Right? And if you will get a sticky note and you will write out one sticky note for each step or stage of the process until that process is done. And maybe it's done when you fulfilled on the order, or you've completely fulfilled on the service, or just when you're at a point where you're ready to ask for a testimonial or customer story, because I know some are ongoing. But when you feel like it's done and you fill in everything from the start to the end, you see all these little sticky notes that represent the different steps and stages of that process, it now becomes a lot easier and a lot simpler to look at it and go, just like you said, okay, which of these sticky notes could we audit? Could we optimize? Which of these sticky notes could we automate? Which of these sticky notes maybe don't even need to be there, that we could skip completely? Where are we missing some sticky notes? Which of these sticky notes, like you said, is the bottleneck? I just firmly believe that you can't optimize until you first visualize. And one of the simplest things that any business can do is just to get some sticky notes in a whiteboard and visualize a particular process, not as a linear checklist, but as an actual flow chart occurring. Connect the arrows, show the flow through a process. If it can fork off in different directions, you can turn it on a diagonal, use the diamond shape to show that it's going off. That anytime we're working with a client or a portfolio company to build out the operating system, that is step one. And you should do it for your customer acquisition process. You should do it for your fulfillment process, and you should also do it for how you innovate, how you roll out, create new products, services, features, things like that. If you do that for all three, it becomes a lot easier, like you said, to say, which of these sticky notes do we need to automate, optimize, just get rid of?
Yeah. I think that is there a place, because I know that we have exercises on that. Is there any place that people can access some sort of information on that, how to do that?
I just recorded a YouTube video on it because we've had so many questions about kind of the process, and so that should be up, I would think, around the time this comes out. So I'll see if we can grab the link, but if not, you can check out my YouTube channel, Ryan Dice Official. Okay. Should be there at some point.
Awesome. Then the next one is going to be attention to detail. Now, we talked about this last time, that Jassy is known for his meticulousness, and that he was personally reviewing press releases and blog posts, and even statements that were going out. And the benefit is, it's all of this attention to the detail that's improving the company's communication, and that's helping with profits and certainly messaging and ultimately translating into shareholder value. We have some issues with that, which we talked about before. But if we're thinking about how could you get climb back into the business a little bit, have you got anything that really what he's doing there is quality control? So do you have quality control? Does it have to be you as the founder, CEO? It's probably not your job. It's probably too much. But when you're doing a turnaround, it might be the most important thing. I mean, he was trying to recover $1 trillion of shed value, so he probably perceived that as a pretty high value thing. And even if we want to criticize, as we did, and I think rightfully, an over focus on shareholder value, it will impact that company's ability to get credit. It will impact covenants that the company might have. And so there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we might not be aware of that cause the valuation to be more important to the operations and ongoing future of the company than just the stock price. So giving some room there for that to be the case. So what are some other things that you can do? Tell your employees what's going on. Let them know what's going on as well, so that they can be part of this. Have this culture of the constant, the kanai, kaizen, never-ending constant improvement, while you're allowing the employees to take ownership of the work. You got to be careful when you're doing what he's doing too, not to do the jobs of somebody else to where they just become, effete. They just become powerless it's like, well, I'm not going to do anything because this guy's going to come in and do it. And that happens a lot in smaller and medium-sized businesses. And then also, what are the goals? Like, what are the specific KPIs? Maybe it's reducing product defects by 50%, or increasing customer satisfaction ratings by 15%, or achieving a 98% on-time delivery, or whatever. Those are all things that could be potential goals. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I think what we talked about before really is the process for doing it. So you first have to visualize it, and then you go step by step, stage by stage, and ask, how can we optimize and improve this? How can we save? How can we make it more efficient? But you've got to go. You have to first get a clear picture of the entirety of the process, and so I think they're kind of one and the same a little bit. They're because in addition to saying, how can we make this more efficient, you can also say, how do we make the step better? So, but you have to first visualize before you optimize, whether optimizing is improving the experience for the customer or making it more efficient for the company. I'll also say, I do believe that CEOs, founders, they should be existing at 30,000 feet and at 3 inches, right? You're at the very, very highest level strategic, and then you're diving down to the things that matter the most. And those are the two worlds that you need to live in balance. Being ultra intentional about where you're going to be at 3 inches to the ground, it's so important. It sends such a massive signal. So if you're going to dive in, make it clear why you're doing it, make it clear that it's important, but also make it clear that you're not going to linger there forever. Make sure that your team knows that.